Alright, hey there. So we're mixing things up a little bit this time. This is not a budget deck. This is just a historic brew I put together that I've been having some fun with, so I thought I'd just make a video on it. So this deck is Historic Human Tribal, and there's a couple key pieces to our deck. One is General Kudro of Draneth, and the other is a new card out of Amonkhet Remastered, Collected Company. So General Kudro is our biggest payoff for playing humans as a tribe. So General Kudro gives other humans +1/+1. Whenever Kudro or another human enters the battlefield under our control, we get to exile a card out of our opponent's graveyard, which is actually like deceptively strong. It doesn't seem like that much, but just having that incidental upside of graveyard hate on a lord we're already happy to play is pretty nice. And then he's got an activated ability where we can pay 2, sacrifice 2 humans, and destroy a creature with power 4 or greater. So Kudro is great because he kind of does everything. He's a lord for all of our humans. He allows us to attack our opponent's graveyard, and there's just a lot of decks in the format using their graveyard as a resource. And he even has that activated ability, and even though it's a little bit inefficient, having to pay 2 mana, sacrifice 2 humans to destroy 1 threat, just having that on a threat we have to answer if our opponent has like a Galta or some flying threat that we're not able to answer, just having a way to actually deal with big threats if we need to, even though it's a little bit inefficient, just basically for free on this lord that we're going to be running anyway, is really nice. And the other key card in our deck is Collected Company. So Collected Company is one of the biggest cards to come out of Amonkhet Remastered. It's a 4 mana instant. We look at the top 6 cards of our library, put up to 2 creature cards with converted mana costs 3 or less from among them onto the battlefield, and then put the rest on the bottom. So in the most ideal of situations, we're going to grab 2 3-drops, like a General Kudro plus a Benelish Marshal, and that's going to be 6 mana and 2 cards worth of creatures at instant speed at like the end of our opponent's turn, out of nowhere, and then smashing our opponent in the face. So just a really good source of sort of card advantage and mana cheating, and tons of Magic's formats like in Modern. Collected Company is just a key part of a lot of tribal decks, because just having this instant speed way to just spit out a couple tribal bodies, cheat on some mana, cheat on some cards, it's just really powerful in a tribal deck. We're no exception to that. And so we have another lord as well, Benelish Marshal. This is a 3/3 human that costs white. So it is a little bit of a strain on our mana base, and it makes us do some funny things to our mana base to be able to actually cast this white card. But it's a 3/3 human knight, and other creatures we control get +1/+1. So all creatures, all of our humans, and we are running some non-humans as well, so all of our creatures get +1/+1. So between Kudro and Benelish Marshal, we do have a good number of lords for our tribal deck. Another really important piece of our deck is General's Enforcer. So General's Enforcer is a 2 mana human that's a 2/3, and it can pay 4 mana to exile target card from a graveyard. If it's a creature, then we make a 1/1 human creature token. So it's a way for us to pump out tribally relevant bodies, but what's super important about General's Enforcer is its other ability. Legendary humans we control have indestructible. So giving some of our best threats indestructibility is really powerful, and this ability of General's Enforcer has really guided a lot of the deck building. We have a lot of one-of legends in our deck to try to take advantage of the fact that we can make them indestructible. So we have General Kudro, of course, as a legend. We have Izarith the Awakener. We have Taranika, a Crowan veteran. We have Shana, Sisay's Legacy. We have Shevel, Bane of Monsters. And we have a couple copies of Thalia. So we just have a good number of legends in our deck to pay off from the fact that General's Enforcer can make them indestructible. So I'm not going to go over every card in the deck and talk about what each and every one of them do. What's important is that we have 4 ramp creatures, Gilded Goose because it can make any color of mana, Llanowar Elves. It's a little awkward in our deck because it's a non-human that also makes green mana only, which is kind of awkward when we want to be making, you know, like white mana for our Benelish Marshal, for example. But it's still worth it because we need ramp to A, get to our Collected Companies earlier, B, running ramp allows us to run less lands in our deck, which means our Collected Companies are going to be more consistent. And C, it does get pumped up by like our Benelish Marshal, so there is some synergy there. But yeah, if we had like a 1 mana human mana dork, like a Noble Hierarch or something, it would be a massive upgrade for the deck over Llanowar Elves, but we don't. So we got to make do with what we got, because turn 3 Collected Company is still really good in our deck. So that's kind of the basic structure of our deck. We do have kind of a lot of individual threats like Luris, which is not a human but allows us to cast something in the graveyard, Izarith, which allows us to pull something in the graveyard, Taranika, which allows us to have some really aggressive starts if we hit it off Collected Company, Sunsword's Champion, a way to gain life and also a recursive threat, Shevel as a Death Toucher we can flash in, and an indestructible Death Toucher is pretty good to flash in with Collected Company against creature-based decks, Shana as just a huge threat, and Charming Prince to sort of, you know, gain us some life, Scry, just kind of a utility creature that kind of does a little bit of everything. So in our mana base, we're running 4 copies of Unclaimed Territory. We can name human with this, and then they tap for any color of mana for humans. Again, this is a little awkward if we want to play like a Llanowar Elves turn 1 or a Gilded Goose turn 1. We sometimes sometimes we have to like play unclaimed territory and name bird for a gilded goose. Sometimes we have to make plays like that, but having what is essentially a 5-color land that comes into play untapped is still really good. It works for most of our cards, and most of the times we won't have to make silly plays like that, but just keep in mind that sometimes you will, and it's not going to be the wrong play if you have to make it. 3 copies of Untitled Chapter, and then just a bunch of mana fixing. We do want to be as heavy white as we can. Almost all the lands we have here tap for white because we want to be able to cast this Benelish Marshal at 3 mana. We do have a few green-black lands just to make sure we can cast everything, but every other land in our deck is going to be able to tap for white for Benelish Marshal, so that's just something important to keep in mind. And in our sideboard, we have just basically a bunch of humans. We have a Pause of Purifying Lights for mono-black matchups. We have Charming Prince to gain us some life, to scry. Really going to bring this in against like Burn and other things with a gain 3 life is important. Containment Priest, pretty much against goblins, but against any deck that's trying to cheat a creature into play without actually casting it. We actually didn't have this in our sideboard, so at the beginning of some of our matches, you will see that Containment Priest isn't in our sideboard because it actually cuts off our own Collected Company. So I was thinking we didn't want to run it, but after some more thought, I think it's still worth running because it is a human, it is tribally relevant, we can hit it off Collected Company, and it shuts down, the decks that it shuts down, we're more than happy to have some awkwardness with our Collected Companies to have Containment Priest against like goblins. Being able to shut off Muxus forever with Containment Priest is really, really good. So we did end up bringing it in, but that's like you'll see it come in like midway through the gameplay. Draenith Magistrate is a way to shut down like Uros, shut down the Snoops, shut down Adventure Creature, shut down like Bolus's Citadel, just anything that can cast stuff from not the hand. Draenith Magistrate is a good little corner case against that. Tocatli Honor Guard we can bring in against, again against goblins or anything with enter the battlefield abilities. It is kind of hurtful to us. We're not like a super ETB focused deck, but we do have some like Charming Prince, Kite Sail Freebooter, and like Kudro to kind of attack our opponent's graveyard as an enter the battlefield ability. So make sure that it's worth it when we bring it in. That way you're going to be cutting off these Kite Sail Freebooters, and we maybe want to like sideboard these out when we bring in the Tocatli Honor Guard. 2 copies of Tomic Distinguished Advocate. So this is mostly against Nissa decks because Nissas target their own lands, and if we just need a flying evasive body, it is a 2-mana 2/3 flyer that's tribally relevant. So with a Lord, it's going to be a 3/4 flyer, pretty good threat. But really, we bring it in against like Nissa-based decks, so they can't target their own lands. Blacklands Paragon. This is pretty good against like Wrath-based decks as something we can flash in after opponents' Wraths to kind of keep attacking them, or if our opponent is like a counterspell heavy deck. It also can give itself Death Touch, so if we're up against like a mono-green Stompy deck and we want to kill a Questing Beast, we can flash this in. It has enough power to block the Questing Beast or any other big threat and trade for it. So it is just sort of a catch-all. There's just a lot of matchups where Blacklands Paragon is going to be pretty good. Kite Sail Freebooter. This is a card that's really good against like control decks, Planeswalker-based decks. So any deck where we would be like benefiting from our 3 copies of Kite Sail Freebooter, we can go up to a 4th copy, and then 3 copies of Knight of Autumn. Again, not a human, so sometimes a little bit tricky with our like unclaimed territories, but it's still totally worth it to have something that can attack artifacts or enchantments that we can grab off our Collected Company. So that's basically the deck. I really have enjoyed playing this a lot. It's a really fun deck in my opinion. I just really like Kudro. I think it's well positioned in the format. The Incidental Graveyard Hate is just so good with all these like Uros and stuff running around, so been really impressed with General Kudro. And so yeah, we'll come back for a little wrap up at the end of the video. I'm not going to talk about upgrades like I usually do because this isn't a budget deck. This is running a lot of rares, a lot of mythics, so we already are kind of playing the upgraded version. There are probably ways you can improve it if you spend some more time kind of tinkering around with it, but this is pretty much the definitive version as I wanted to build it. So we'll just do a little wrap up at the end, talk about how it went, and yeah, let's jump into the gameplay. On to game 1. Alright, playing some Abzan humans, and yeah, we're going to keep this. We got Thalia to potentially slow our opponent down. It does look like they may be on control, so we'll go ahead and get this Triumph out of the way. Got nothing to do on turn 1 anyway. Thalia may be pretty good here. It would definitely be better on the play. They may have a way to answer it here for 1 mana, potentially. But we'll go human, play our Thalia. Potentially they have a 2-mana removal spell, and this at least sets them back by a turn, if that's what they've got. Frantic Inventory, alright. Just drawing a card, sure. Okay. Yeah, we are just going to run out the Kudro, I believe. I kind of want to run out General's Enforcer to protect Thalia, but if they have a removal spell, they're just going to use it on Thalia in response, so no reason not to play the most mana-intensive play here by playing our General Kudro. We did play a land there rather than playing the unclaimed territory. Getting this out of their graveyard's nice too. It means they can't draw multiple cards off of future frantic inventories. Okay, opponent's actually going to eliminate the Kudra, which we're more than fine with, because that means we get to keep taxing their effects, and we have another Kudro in hand anyway, so... We oftentimes end up with multiple Kudros, but it's almost never an issue, because one, Kudro is a magnet for removal, and two, we can use Kudro's ability to sacrifice himself to, we'll just discard a unclaimed territory. We can use Kudro's ability to sacrifice himself, so it's not that big of a deal. Here we're just going to go... Yeah, we're just going to go Temple Garden, untapped, General's Enforcer, Thalia is now indestructible, and Charming Prince, and we're going to scry 2 here. I guess we'll keep... We're looking for a CoCo, so we're going to put all this to the bottom. Collected Company is how we get out ahead of our opponent's Nicol Bolas here. So we're just going to scry everything else to the bottom. General's Enforcer was a little bit tempting because we could go like Kudro plus Enforcer next turn and have double protection for our legendary creatures. Alright, opponent spends their whole turn on a search for Escanta, sure. Okay, well we're going to go General Kudro. Start exiling stuff out of our opponent's graveyard, which does help shut down this Escanta. And yeah, we will kill the goose. Play this tapped, and pass turn. We can start getting in next turn because we have 2 indestructible threats. But this turn we're going to play cool. Hopefully our opponent doesn't have a removal spell. Okay. So they're just going to attack our General's Enforcer, seems like. Yeah, okay. At least we can kill the Nicol Bolas. Oh, Collected Company is really good. And I think we're actually going to do it pre-combat to see... we could also just use Kudro to blow up the Nicol Bolas. And that also leaves us with enough mana to Collected Company, too. Yeah, actually we're going to do that while they're tapped out. So blow up the Nicol Bolas. Yeah. Hit our opponent's Nicol Bolas Planeswalker. And we actually are just going to Collect Company... You know what, we're going to do it at the end step. This might be a mistake, because it's possible our opponent has a counterspell here, but... We're gonna risk it, because they could also have a Wrath. Alright, so they run out of Nicol Bolas, sure. Okay, and in response we're going to Collected Company. Get a Benelish Marshal and a Sunscorched Champion. Exile, yeah, we'll get a Nicol Bolas Ravager out of there. Just get everything that's not a land. Yeah, opponent gets to eat one of our lands, sure. We'll sacrifice a Overgrown Tomb. Go to our turn. If we drew a Lord there, we would just kill our opponent. But instead, we are going to have to kill this Nicol Bolas. So we will hit, and hit, hit, and hit. And we have our opponent dead next turn. We'll see. We're going to hold on to this Sunpetal Grove. Do they have a Wrath? That's what it comes down to. Do they have a way to just wipe the board? They did just mill with their search for Escanta. Okay, they're digging for it. Frantic Inventory, but wait, that's only a draw 1 because we ate the other Frantic Inventory out of their graveyard. So they got to have like Languish right now. And they had to have just drawn it, I think. Otherwise they would have used it earlier. So did they... Okay, they're just going to Bedevil... Sure, that's fine. That takes 5 damage off the board. Ugh, 2 lands in a row. Brutal. Alright, hit our opponent. They get one more turn to try and find a Wrath here. Play the Sunpetal Grove, pass turn. Woof. Yeah, that was... Oh, and they left it on top. It's got to be a Wrath. Yep, there's a Languish. Brutal. If we found anything that wasn't a land in the last 2 turns, I'm pretty sure we win. But that's... Ugh. At least we have to get back Sunscorched Champion. Yeah, opponent's just going to Thought Erasure. Pretty much just a Surveil one. They're just looking for something to deal with a Sunscorched Champion, I'm guessing. Alright. Well, okay. We are going to get back Sunscorched Champion. Discard Temple Garden. Sure. Gain some life. Play a Llanowar Elves. Do you have another sweeper opponent? They may be able to flip this search for Escanta. Yeah, they are gonna be able to flip it. Ooh, so they get to activate the search. Okay, Nicobolus Ravager, sure. That's fine. And the Royal Scions, also sure. Can we get our opponent here? If we draw a Lord, we win. God, my goodness, we are the master of drawing lands. Yeah. They're gonna flip their Nicobolus. Yeah, we got to attack, because otherwise they're gonna flip their Nicobolus. So, attack with both. Opponent's got to chump with a Nicobolus. So we trade there, get them down to 1, pass a turn. Maybe they won't have a removal spell for this Land of War Elves, but they get so many draws at it. They get to loot, they get to activate their Search for Iskanta, they get to do so many things. So the chances of them not having a removal spell is pretty low. But this is our chance here. Yeah, they activate Iskanta. Do they find a removal spell? Man, we just hit 3 lands in a row. They languish the Land of War Elves. Okay, Kroxa, sure. I'm gonna Kroxa. Don't they just die? Yeah. Oh, I guess they didn't have enough mana to languish the Land of War Elves. Wow, so he actually got there. Oof, that was a tough one. So our opponent is on control. So we're gonna go up the Kitesail Freebooter. The Apostles might be worth it, although they still die to languish. Tomic's not really doing we don't actually have that many good answers just for a bunch of Planeswalkers. It's not really what we're set up to do. We could go up another Charming Prince, I guess, just as a threat that generates some value, even if they do remove it. Yeah, we'll go up the Charming Prince. Maybe the Knight of Autumns are worth it just to attack their enchantment, Search for Iskanta. Maybe we'll go up a couple. I don't know if we want to go up to full 4s, but all right. So we need to go down a few creatures here. So we're gonna go down. What doesn't seem... Shevel seems pretty bad. Sisay seems pretty bad. Terranica doesn't seem great. And maybe... Maybe... I don't know. We do want Lords to get past their Nicoboluses. Maybe we go down a... I guess Dire Tactics are actually pretty bad too. I'd like to keep 1, but if we ended up with 2 in hand, it'd be pretty brutal. So yeah, we'll go down 1 Dire Tactics too. Okay, game 2 against Swag like Boba, and yeah, we'll keep this. I mean, we got a turn 3 Kudro potentially. I guess we don't, because we have to Sunpetal Grove. That's not an untapped green source. So I think we just get the Godless Shrine out of the way. Yeah, and we'll not worry about ramping here. We're just gonna go Charming Prince into Kudro probably. That's pretty good too. Okay, Kroxa. What do we want? Probably just the Land of War Elves. We really don't need it now. Alright. Play Sunpetal Grove, Charming Prince. We'll scry 2. Bottom. Just looking for collected companies. That is the best thing we can do against this deck. Just put, just basically cheat on a bunch of mana and card. Oh, our opponent doesn't have a follow-up? Wow, okay. We're gonna go this on humans. General Kudro. Get the Kroxa out of their graveyard, which is pretty nice. Do you have a land this turn, opponent? Oh, and they scoop it up. All right. So our opponent wasn't able to recover from their mulligan there. So yeah, took down Grixis Control. Definitely one of the better decks in the format right now. Nicobolus Planeswalker is pretty good. And yeah, we basically outvalued them. Like they weren't able to keep up with our pressure. Kudro being able to blow up their creature Nicobolus, plus all of our creatures being able to attack their Nicobolus is down pretty consistently. And then really the one main thing about Kudro in the format is that tons of people are using their graveyard. You saw right there, we just coincidentally ate the Kroxa out of their graveyard. That takes a resource away from them. They had the Search for Iskanta that we were just exiling stuff out of the graveyard. Lots of people running like Uros. There's just a lot of decks that maybe aren't like graveyard focused, but are using the graveyard incidentally. And so Kudro being our lord that we want to run anyway, being a creature that has removal stapled onto it. So a really good lord, just being able to coincidentally eat away at our opponent's graveyard is actually very strong. So yeah, we just sort of coincidentally ground them out as we were doing our plan. So sweet. Abzan humans, not bad. Alright, playing some Abzan humans up against Cassius, and yeah, we'll keep this. See what our opponent's up to. Play a Temple Garden, play Land of War Elves. Format's kind of wide open right now. There's there's one deck that's definitely the best. Alright, looks like maybe... do we want to just Endothe the Triumph to make sure we can collect a company next turn? I guess so. It means we don't get to do anything this turn, but... yeah, we're still going to do it. Just get in for one. Next turn we can collect a company, but there's a... the ramp deck's the best deck in the format for sure. We'll see if we get to Thought Seized. If we do... Waste Not, okay. That wasn't what I expected. So we'll go Unclaimed Territory on Human. And... no attacks. We'll do it at the end of our opponent's turn. So if they counter our collected company, we get to untap and resolve a bunch of stuff. Narset. Okay, we don't draw cards anyway, so that's fine. We get card advantage through like collected company and, you know, other ways. We don't directly draw cards, so Narset's not that good against us. But yeah, there's a ramp deck with Field of Ruin, believe it or not, as if Field of Ruin isn't always been a problematic card. Okay, pretty good hit here. So we're gonna go Kudro plus Terranika. Yeah, we're pretty happy about this. And go to our turn. Okay, we get to go Benelish Marshal. We're going to just go straight at our opponent's face, I think. So attack everything at our opponent. Make the Llanowar Elves a 5/5. Hit our opponent down to 3. And do they have a way to deal with this board? Yeah. Llanowar Elves. They need Languish. Do they have Languish? We could have gone after the Narset, but...
keep an open mind.
Hopefully they don't... Okay, that's just another Narset, sure. That doesn't do anything. Has to be Languish. Okay, and they didn't have it. So, put our opponent to dead. We played it a little bit risky, because if our opponent did Narset into a Languish, we would have been eternally sad about it, but I think that was the right move. So, opponent's on just control-y, planeswalker-y things. I guess Charming Prince and maybe Apostle, although they're probably just going to be languishing us, so Apostle doesn't actually dodge that. He's more against like mono-black aggro decks where Apostle shines. So maybe that's... we just go up another discard spell in the form of... is Tomic worth it? That's just a way to get through at their planeswalkers. Blacklands Paragon might also be good. It's just a flash threat that gets around their wraths. Okay, you know what? We're going to go to Blacklands Paragons too. Go down. Cheville seems really bad. Dire Tactics seems really bad. And one more cut. Maybe Terranika and run it like that. Alright. We can't keep this, so we'll mulligan this hand. And yeah, this is definitely better. It's a little awkward we have this Collected Company and this Thalia, because they kind of go against each other. I think we just go down the... I think we actually go down the Collected Company, believe it or not. As weird as that is, because we almost always want Collected Company, but I think we're going to be pretty far away from it for most of this game, so we're just going to go Endothe the Triumph. Next turn we can Thalia. Okay. So I'm just going to Thought Erasure to probably take our Thalia. Maybe if there's something they really want to protect from Freebooter, they take that instead, but best choice is probably Thalia, because it just taxes basically everything in their entire deck. But this is a problem with being on the play as opposed to the draw. Like, we can get Thought Seize turn 1, but they only have 4 of those. But Thought Erasure, they have, you know, being on the play means they basically have 8 copies of Thought Seize. Yeah, we'll play Isolated Chapel, Kite Sail Freebooter, go after their hand. Well, they did leave something on top, though. We'll take the Eliminate, so they have to spend 3 mana to kill something. Okay, go to combat. Attack with our Kite Sail Freebooter. Play... do we want to play Shana? Yeah, I think we're actually going to play Shana. Play Shana. Opponent can kill it, but that's fine. Because this will be our biggest, beefiest threat if our opponent doesn't kill it. Yeah, but Devils our Kite Sail, gets back their Eliminate. That'll mean we have a 3-power attacker, potentially, next turn. That can go after their Nicol pretty well. And it can't actually be targeted by Nicol Bolas's effects, because it can't be countered or targeted by abilities, so that's something to keep in mind. Alright, well, we are going to go Plains Charming Prince. Scry 2. Bottom. We want Collected Company at this point. Go to combat. Attack our opponent. Okay, opponent kills it, sure. And pass turn. Oh, they drew another removal spell? Drown of the Lock. This doesn't give indestructible, no. Okay. Just Death Touch and Lifelink. So they get to play their Nicol Bolas here, but we get to flash in Black Lance Paragon and start attacking it, so not all is lost. We will exile our Temple Garden. Flash in our Black Lance Paragon. Can we get a land? Oh, okay. We're just going to do this. Yeah, we're just going to do this main phase, because if we get some lords, we get their Nicol Bolas off the battlefield. Well, we didn't, but we do get to go Thalia plus Kite Sail. General's Enforcer to make Thalia indestructible might also be the choice. But we're going to go Kite Sail and try to attack their hand a bit, in case they drew. Yeah, eliminate. Go to combat, attack our opponent's Nicol Bolas. Pass turn.
You have tasted but a drop of power.
Opponent gets to take it up. Hopefully we can get it off the battlefield, though. Exile a plane, sure. Did they draw a Wrath? Oof, they did. Alright, alright, alright. That gets us, that gets us. Alright, we can't win from here because we don't even have the lands to collect a company anymore. So, we see anything that makes us want to change our mind? They do have, like, eliminates and stuff, so maybe Apostle Purifying Light isn't actually the worst. It's just, I don't know, there's more impactful stuff we could be doing against this deck. But you know what, we're going to actually just run it like this. Yeah, let's just run it back. Alright, we will play first, and okay, we'll keep this. We do get to go, I don't know, this is a little sketchy because all of our black mana is tied up in this Gilded Goose. So if they're able to just like kill our Gilded Goose, we're off of black mana forever, basically. But we do get to go Temple Garden, Gilded Goose, and have a turn 3 Kudro. Kudro's, I mean, it survives stuff like Cry the Cranarium. Alright, well there's another piece of black mana, that's pretty good. So we're gonna go Sun Petal Grove, Kudro. Lurrus is a little awkward because we don't have any 2-drops, but eventually we can start doing stuff with Lurrus. We probably don't just run him out next turn. I think we probably just cycle this Indotha Triumph next turn if we just draw another land. Sure. Okay, well that's not another land. That's actually pretty good. So we're going to play Temple Garden. Well, we didn't need to shock ourselves there, but we are going to play this and get in for 5. Got a pretty fast clock here. Our best draw would definitely be Thalia. Thalia to make their languages cost 1 more would probably win us the game. Otherwise, a Kite Sail Freebooter would be nice. Alright, well, there's a neither. So we'll go to combat. Yeah, we'll go to combat. Attack. Opponent's got the Noxious Grasp. Sure. Hit our opponent for 3. Play Sun Petal Grove, Llanowar Elves. We're actually just going to cycle this Indotha Triumph instead of playing this Lurrus, because we don't want to. We want Lurrus to be able to recover from a Wrath. We don't want to just run it out into a Languish here, or a Ritual of Soot. Alright. Yep, we're going to cycle. Kite Sail's not bad. If we draw a land, we can Kite Sail. Okay. Do we want to Kite Sail plus Lurrus? We might just Lurrus plus, like, Gilded Goose. Kite Sail to attack their hand would be nice. I think we're gonna do it like this. We're gonna Kite Sail, and if they have something that makes us not want to play the Lurrus, then we won't. Okay, they're... I guess we gotta take the Chandra. And play the Lurrus.
You're gonna be sorry when I come back.
Pass turn. And now, next turn we can start playing like the Llanowars from the graveyard. They do get to go Narset, go digging for a removal spell. But that's just is what it is. Cry the Cranarium is pretty good. Okay, we gotta find... Kudro doesn't quite do it. Kudro, I guess, keeps our Kite Sail Freebooter alive, so I guess we do it. Kudro. Go after the Ritual of Soot, I suppose. Go to combat. Attack Narset, attack Kites with Kite Sail Freebooter. Do we actually care about the Narset on the battlefield? I guess we don't, so we're actually going to do it like this. Because we don't draw cards anyway. Narset being on the battlefield, we just don't care.
So much commotion.
So our opponent is definitely going to Cry the Cranarium and kill our Lurrus next turn. Do we want to also... I guess, yeah, we'll play the Gilded Goose, because we can't get it back anyway. We only have the 1 of Lurrus. So we'd rather, I guess, just play the Gilded Goose and get the food, right? Land. What did I draw? Luckily, our Kitesail and Kudrow both survived the... Okay, Nicobolus, sure. Shauna, okay. So here we can potentially kill the Nicobolus, but if we do that, we give them back the... Huh. Okay, what we do here is... Oh, we have... Oh, no, we can do this. Okay, Shauna. Exile, whatever, doesn't matter. Then we can go activate Kudrow, kill the Nicobolus, blow up these two humans to do it, and then we can recast the Kitesail Freebooter out of our graveyard thanks to our Luris. Yeah, just exile Nicobolus, whatever. We do have to get the Chandra, so they are going to still be able to use this Cry on us, but we can take the Chandra out of their hand, and we deal with our Nicobolus. Oof. Okay, that was a little bit of a tricky play. What do you got, opponent? Ooh. Alright. This is it. We killed them next turn even through the Cry of the Carnarium, so they gotta have top decked like a Languish or something. Okay, Cry doesn't do it. What? Oh, we got there! Oh my gosh. Ooh, okay, apparently we're just gonna play control decks all the time, but wow, we took down that control deck pretty convincingly. Whew, that was a nail biter for sure. They had to find a Languish there, and I mean they did have the Search of Visconta to mill one over and try to hit that Languish, so it wasn't super unlikely. It was nice we didn't have to actually attack the Narset down, you know, because all of our card advantage just comes from like non-card draw effects. Then, oof, I almost missed that line where we could blow up the Nicobolus and also get back the Kitesail Freebooter, because I was thinking like, well, we can blow up the Nicobolus to stop it from flipping over, but if we do that, then we just give them back the Chandra, and Chandra just wipes our board. So I was trying to figure out a way to do both, and it turns out we did have a way, thanks to Luris being on the battlefield. We could sacrifice Kitesail Freebooter and get it back on the same turn. Oof! Wow. Oof. All right, that was a fun game. Sweet. All right, playing some Abzan humans against Bandit Bon. I guess it's Bandit Ban. I don't know why I said Bon. And we'll keep this. Okay, we have to do a little awkward thing here where we're gonna go put this on Bird. Which is, sometimes we got to do that with our unclaimed territories, just to make our mana work, but it does make things awkward in the future. Hopefully just draw. Okay, well. Then we'll go human, play our Kudrow. Turn 2 Kudrow. Not bad. See what our opponent's got going on over there. Hopefully not just, well, potentially just removal for our Kudrow. It dodges Eliminate. Okay, Thought Erasure. There goes our General's Enforcer. A little sad. His General's Enforcer backing up Kudrow is pretty nice. Makes him indestructible. Oh, Collected Company. Oh, we can't do it this turn. We can't even play the Llanowar Elves. Oh my god. Yeah, this mana... Woof. Well, go to combat. Play Godless Shrine... tapped and pass turn. Woof. Well, if we draw a green source off the top, we can just collect a company. Gosh, we just play endless removal spell or endless control decks, huh? Okay. Well, Thalia, we can start eating away their graveyard. Go to combat, attack, pass turn. You know, what we would like to draw here is just a green source, but if we're not going to draw a green source, a Thalia is okay. All right. Well, go to combat. Attack and attack. Kitesail Freebooter. Maybe take the Wrath out of their hand. And, okay, wow. With our super awkward mana, we still managed to get there. So, okay, another control deck. Jeez Louise. That's all we've played is control decks. But we'll take the Charming Prince. We'll do the same plan we had last time. And a couple Night of Autumns. And then I think we go down all the Dire Tactics. The Chevelle, and then I think we go down Terranica, maybe Sisay, and one more. Maybe we don't go up the Charming Prince. That's fine. I don't like that. Alright, game 6 or 7 against control, and ugh, we can't keep this. Nothing to do until turn 3, and then... Okay, well, we'll go down... I guess we'll go down to Llanowar Elves. Actually, we'll go down to Woodland Cemetery. Kudro's a pretty good draw, so we're going to go Temple Garden, untapped. Gilded Goose. Search for his content, alright. Okay, so we'll go Llanowar Elves plus Thalia. Okay. Opponent keeps it on top, which is a little concerning. Thoughtseize. Alright, well, there goes our Kudro. Wow, they just snapped that off instantly. Luris is not a bad draw, so we're actually just gonna play the Luris. Yeah, we're just gonna play the Luris. Attack. This lets us not get anything back this turn, but it does let us apply pressure, which we need to do. Did our opponent draw Cry the Granarium? Looks like no. Okay, unclaimed territory on human. Benelish Marshal, and we're just gonna hit our opponent for 1.5 million here. Alright. Ooh, no languish. No languish. Do they have the land plus languish? And they don't! Alright, okay. Another control deck down. Can we stop playing control decks? We've established this deck is pretty good against control, but we would like to play any other deck, please. Alright. On to the next one. Okay, up against Yawgmoth's Lab Rats. Playing some Abzan humans, and okay, yeah, this is actually pretty good. Woodland Triumph, or Untitled Triumph actually makes this come to play untapped because it counts as a forest and also a swamp, so we can't just pop off Llanowar Elves plus Gilded Goose next turn, which seems like what we're going to do. So Gilded Goose, Llanowar Elves, and if we top deck a... Alright, so we didn't top deck a Collected Company, but we can go... Huh, how do we want to do this exactly? We can go General's Enforcer, Godless Shrine, untapped, play Kudro. Alright, opponent, got the counterspell. Alright, well, they don't have a counterspell this turn. They are probably a flash deck. Yeah, Brinebrone Courthroat, they are a flash deck. Which, I don't know how we fare against a flash deck. Probably not super great, I guess. Oh, and Thalia's pretty good. So we're gonna try to juke them out here. We're gonna go Charming Prince first, see if they counter that. They do. Okay. Sure. But now we got him with the Thalia. Alright, and that should make it a lot harder for them to do stuff at instant speed. Go to combat, attack with everything except the Gilded Goose. We're actually gonna just cycle this Untitled Triumph, so I'm not gonna play the Untitled Triumph. Alright. Kite Sail Freebooter's not bad. Do we want to do it pre-combat? I guess we'll go to combat. Attack, attack, and attack. This could go poorly for us, but I think we gotta keep applying pressure. Merfolk Trickster. Okay. Sure. We can kill the Cutthroat, though. So we're gonna go Llanowar Elves, activate Kudro, targeting this, sacrificing General Enforcer and Thalia. Blow up their Brineborn Cutthroat. Oh, second Trickster. That was pretty much the only way that we get punished by that line. They had to have exactly 2 Merfolk Tricksters. Yep, that's pretty bad for us. That means they get to pretty much wipe our board here. Yep. Alright. Okay, but we do get to kite sail freebooter while they're tapped out. Try to snag... Yeah, Lookout's Dispersal from their hand seems good. And, yeah, still going to cycle this Triome, so not going to play it. There's a Curiosity, sure. I think we just don't let them draw here. Sure. Goose isn't doing a lot right now anyway. Kudro's not bad. Alright. So we're going to go Kudro. Exile the Brineborn Cutthroat. Go to combat. We know they have the Fairy Vandal. They could, if they have like a Fairy Vandal plus Opt, it still doesn't kill our Kai'Sail freebooters. We'll attack. And pass turn. Yep, there's the Fairy Vandal, sure. And a Spectral Sailor, okay. What you got, opponent? Alright, just gonna draw a card to pump up their Fairy Vandal, sure. Gets in for 2. For 3. Alright, we're okay with this race. We are going to play Plains and cycle the Triome here. Undo that. We're going to actually tap the Llanowar Elves, which is a little risky, but we want to have the mana up to cast exactly this, General's Enforcer, which is a really good draw here. Alright. Attack our opponent. And attack our opponent. When it goes down to 7, now we've got a blocker for the Merfolk Trickster on the ground. Alright, they're just going to Brazen Borrower and draw a card with Trickster, that's fine. We could have potentially left 2 things back, but I think we do need to pressure our opponent here. Sure, opponent pumps up their Fairy Vandal. We can eventually just blow that up with Kudro. Siren Storm, well, now we can't. Okay. We're gonna go General's Enforcer. Gilded Goose. Make a food. And pass turn. No attacks. Can start making humans by eating away at the graveyard with his General's Enforcer. And then we can sacrifice those humans to our Kudro to blow up their Fairy Vandal. That gets out of control. Oh, takes 6. Sure. And yeah, we are gonna eat the food. Try to help out in the race here. Go to combat. Llanowar Elves isn't the best, but we'll go attack and attack. They have another Merfolk Trickster. Anything besides a second Merfolk Trickster, or I guess a third at this point, is fine. Okay. Alright, opponent just lets it happen, sure. And then we'll go Llanowar Elves and plan to make a human on their end step here with our General's Enforcer. We do just have the Gilded Goose to just chump. Brazen Borrower. Okay. Sure. And they run out the 3/1. Sure, but we're still not dead, right? So if they just attack with everything, we can just make a food, sack it, and stay alive. Curious Obsession, okay. Doesn't really change anything. Opponent attacks. Attacks. Okay, attacks for 7. So we don't have to make a food here. Is a human better? I think it is. So we're gonna go block with Gilded Goose. Sure. Make a human. Exile our opponent's Merfolk Trickster. Okay, another General's Enforcer. So we'll go to combat. attack, an attack, an attack, an attack, an attack. Yeah. And opponent scoops it up. Oh. Oh, okay. Oh, that was pretty scary. Okay, so our opponent is on mono blue flash, huh? So we can bring in Draenith Magistrate, which stops their adventure creature, which is something. Oh, they can just bounce it first, though. We could also bring in, like, the Blacklands Paragons to do something at our own at instant speed, which is probably what we'll do. Go up the Kite Sail Freebooters. Go up the... Flyers are actually probably less good in this matchup because some of our opponent's creatures can only block flyers. So I guess we go up those... I guess the Draenith Magistrates are fine, and go up the Charming Prince. And then go down Sunscourge Champion. Go down... Man, Collected Companies actually seem not great in this matchup. Although I guess they are some... We can do it at instant speed, and if they counter it, then we can untap and do stuff, so it's fine. Go down, probably... Actually, we got a lot of good stuff in this matchup. Maybe the Draenith Magistrates actually aren't good enough to come in. They do have a lot of creatures, although they have enough that I feel like these Kite Sail Freebooters are okay. I feel like Cheville is actually pretty good, being a Death Toucher to get over their big guys. I guess Shauna can get blown out pretty easy, and Izareth isn't like... I don't know. Izareth allows us to do something without actually casting anything. Jeez, this is actually kind of hard. Maybe we go down like 1 Llanowar Elves and 1... Maybe 3 Kite Sail Freebooters is actually enough, and run it like that. Okay, up against Yawgmoth's Lab Rat on Mono Blue Flash, and we will keep this. A little awkward, but yeah, because we can't play these Gilded Geese on turn 1, but we'll just go Godless Shrine tapped. We can Freebooter on turn 2. Freebooter. See if he gets countered. Fairy Vandals, alright. Oh my god. Okay. We will take, I guess, a Lofty Denial? Pass turn. Hopefully they don't draw a land here. Okay. We're okay with this because we can just Dire Tactics it. We actually have to block here. As bad as this seems, because we have to kill their creature. We just need to. So we are gonna just block and chump there. So we're gonna go. First, we're gonna. Well, it doesn't really matter. We'll Dire Tactics it. Get rid of their only creature. Then Overgrown Tomb, Gilded Goose. We got nothing going on now, though. So we're just hoping they don't draw a creature, basically. Because they got a lot of things to do once they do draw a creature. Okay, Charming Prince is something at least. So we'll go Unclaimed Territory on Human. Play Charming Prince. Want to have some sort of counter? We're going to use on Charming Prince. Alright. And Scry 2. Bottom. Yeah, I don't think we want either of those. And pass turn, just plan on flashing in this Blacklands Paragon at the end of their turn. I guess we can just play around the Lofty Denials, though. Well, we can't pay for it at this point, so... Yeah, we'll flash in the Blacklands Paragon. If they Lofty Denial it, we can just pay for it with Gilded Goose. Alright. They do not. They just let it go. Alright, so we got a pretty fast clock on them now. Ugh, more lands. Alright, well, get him for 5. Gilded Goose. Llanowar Elves. And pass turn. Opponent flashes into Fairy Phantom. We can just chump that forever with our Gilded Goose. So, we're not too worried about that. Sure, opponent suits it up with a Curious Obsession. Yeah, we will block. Won't let him draw a card. Make a... Oh, I guess we can't make a food. Okay. Sure. Izarith's not bad. So we have to pay 4. So if we play Izarith, we can only play 3. Ugh. Okay. Well, no, we can actually pay the 4, can't we? So we'll go to combat, attack. See if our opponent does anything when we attack in here. They might flash out a blocker. Yeah. Okay. They're actually gonna flash out the Merfolk Trickster just to trade with a Blacklands Paragon. But that means we get to sneak in this Izarith. Oh, they're gonna tap down the Gilded Goose to draw some cards. Okay. Sure. But we get to go Izarith here, and now we don't even have to cast spells anymore. We can just start attacking with Izarith. Pass turn. We can start getting back like our Kite Sail freebooters without actually casting anything. Seems pretty good. Opponent's just going to suit up their dude and draw a million cards. Sure. It is a little unfortunate they tapped on our Gilded Goose there, because we could stop them from drawing cards here. We'd be in really good shape, but they get to draw 2. Yeah. Nothing we can do about that. We are just going to eat a food here. Help us in the race a bit. Siren Storm Tamer, okay. Yep, eat a food. Oh, Collected Company. Okay, so we can... Can we do both? We can. So, okay, so we're going to go to combat. Merfolk Trickster. Alright. In response, we're going to... collect... Well, okay, you know what? We'll let it resolve first. Sure, and we're going to collect a company in response. Get a General Kudrow and a Kite Sail freebooter. Take... yeah, whatever. Just exile the Merfolk Trickster. And our opponent scoops it up. Alright. Woo! Okay, so we were able to take down Mono Blue Flash, like, pretty well. We just have a lot of flash threats of our own between a Collected Company and being able to bring in the knights here. These 2-drop knights are pretty good. Blacklands Paragon. The fact that we were able to have a couple of flyers here, we could chump this Fairy Vandal, stop him from drawing any more cards, and yeah, we were in pretty good shape. This Izarith was going to start drawing us like. Pulling stuff out of our graveyard, more Kite Sail freebooters, more Blacklands Paragons. We even just get back Gilded Geese over and over and over again with Izalith the Awakener, which means we could just block this Fairy Vandal forever. So all in all, we were in really good shape, and yeah, we took it down pretty convincingly. It didn't really feel all that close, to be honest. So yeah, and this is one of the better decks in the format. This did really well in a tournament, at least. I don't know if it actually won, but this mono blue just sort of put all the curiosity effects on, on some evasive threats or some big threats. It was actually really good and protect them with like Siren Storm Tamer. But yeah, we just kind of went over the top of them. So sweet. Okay, up against Tharos with the Yorion deck. All right. Well, yeah, we'll keep this. Thalia is a little contradictory to our Collected Company plan. She is going to increase the cost of it, but we're still going to keep this hand. Alright, our opponent is on Esper. I'm guessing they're on some sort of a Doom Foretold deck. So we probably do want to run out this Thalia, even though it is kind of painful for us. So run out the Thalia. And no attacks. I mean, this ramp does mean we get to Collect Company on turn 4 still, we could have gone next turn Collected Company, but I think we do want to run out the Thalia. Okay, huh. Knight of the Even Legion, really. Well, a second Thalia is kind of annoying. We will get in with Thalia. And just go to the next and play Overgrown Tomb, tapped, and then just make a food here. We can Collect the Company next turn, so... Sure. Okay, opponent chooses not to get in. I guess they're just going to hold back the knight to deal with a Thalia, potentially. Okay. Well, we will go Godless Shrine, untapped, and pass the turn. No attacks. See what our opponent does. Nothing. Alright. So we made them skip their turn to hold back this knight with its pump, so that's something at least. Opponent gets in. Sure. That's fine. Alright, they pump it up. Okay. Take 4. But we get to flash in Collected Company here. Get a Kudro, get a... Huh. I guess we'll get a Sisei. It'll be pretty big on this board. Okay, and yeah, we're just gonna do the same thing this turn. So go to combat, attack with everything except our Gilded Goose. We have our opponent pretty dead. Not really sure what our opponent's on exactly, but we're not really threatened by what they're doing at all. They have a Wrath. They do have a Wrath. We will go ahead and... I guess there's no reason to use the food. Is there anything we want to do before they die? Nah, we'll just let it happen. And we can just collect a company now at the end phase. Potentially kill our opponent here. So we'll go... Izarith is a really good one, and... Kite Sail Freebooter. Go after our opponent's other Wrath. Pretty nice. We don't care about the Liliana so much because we can just play a couple creatures here. So we will... Let's see. What do we want to get out of the graveyard? Kudro. We can get back Kudro plus Thalia. That seems pretty good. So we will attack with both. Use Izarith. Pay 3. Get back Kudro. Eat our knight, or eat their knight out of the graveyard. And play Thalia. What do you got, opponent? You got a way to deal with this. They have to draw a Wrath this turn, essentially. They can't play their Liliana because we have them taxed. They can only play one of their removal spells. So even if they have like a 2-mana removal spell here, they can't like kill the freebooter and also Wrath. Yeah, that doesn't do it. All right. And we got our opponent. Ooh. Okay, they go out on their own terms. They take the 2 damage from Murderous Rider and go out like a champ. All right, so our opponent is on black-white, just like mono removal spells. It looks like. I guess Apostle's fine, although the amount of Wraths is kind of annoying. And maybe Blacklands Paragon to get around the Wraths, and another Kite Sail Freebooter, and even Charming Prince getting some scry value is pretty nice. We don't really have any reason for Decathlon on a guard or Containment Priests, so we'll just go up the Charming Prince, go down, let's see. What is not particularly good against our opponent's removal? Dire Tactics seems kinda bad. There are some targets for it, but it could just rot in our hand a lot of the time, so we kinda want all the action we can get here. Generous Enforcer actually seems really, really good, so we're gonna keep that. And we want to keep most of the legendary humans if we can. Maybe we actually don't go with the Charming Prince. Maybe go down a Llanowar Elves, and maybe Terranika is a little bit too much. And maybe actually go down one more Charming Prince. I think these Blacklands Paragons are better than Charming Princes, so run it back like that. Okay, game 2 against Tharos. Ugh. Jeez. I guess we keep this. Collected companies are very good, but we need to draw, like... Well... Okay, well, we're gonna bring in... We're probably just lost the game now. Grafdigger's Cage is pretty good against us, because it shuts down our collected companies, and we kept the double collected company and... Alright. We're gonna have to bring in the Dryads to blow up their artifacts and enchantments, seems like. Maybe we should have brought those in already, because it's pretty clear they're going to have some enchantments in their deck with Yorion. So pick Human, go with General Enforcer. All we can do is just run out our creatures. We're not going to be able to collect a company, so... I guess they're Yorion, sure. Gilded Goose. Alright, we're going to go play Kudro. Do we want a Kudro now? Yeah, play Kudro. And no attacks. Next turn we can start getting through this wall. We'll have enough attackers. Do they have the Wrath? Nyx Lotus. Well, that's not a card I expected to see. They have currently 0 devotion to anything, so yeah, we're definitely going to bring in the our Dryads next turn. So we'll go Sunscorched Champion. We'll go Gilded Goose, and we pretty much just lose to a Wrath here, but we gotta just, because we're down 2 cards, these 2 collect companies aren't doing anything. We can't just not play into the Wrath. We can't just hold it back and Revenge of Rape. Well, that buys them a lot of time, I suppose. And another, okay, another Grafdigger's Cage, sure. Go to combat. Yeah, Sun Petal Grove, go to combat, attack with everything except a Gilded Goose, which we will just make a food with. Yep. Opponent takes 6 but gain 3, so we're not making that much headway. And pass turn. We can kill the... Okay, Elspeth Conqueror's Death is pretty bad for us, because that's going to go after our Kudro, which shuts down our creatures pretty well. They're going to be able to blink it too with Yorion. Yeah, it might just be game over. We'll eat the food. Apostle. Does Apostle really change anything? I guess we'll run it out. Go with Apostle. Opponent's going to kill our Sunscourge champion. There's no real reason to attack here because they just gain the 2 life back that we do anyway thanks to Revenge of Ravens. So we will just pass the turn, I suppose. No attacks. Yeah, I think they just wrecked us with these Grafdigger's Cages, unfortunately. Kaya's Wrath. Alright, now they definitely wrecked us. And we will... Actually, I guess we're not 100% dead, so we will make some food. The reason we're not 100% dead is we can get back this Sunscourge champion. Although, no, we can't, because... Well, no, because we don't cast this from the graveyard, right? Yeah. We actually exile it and make a token copy, so we can go Sunscourge champion, get it back, discard the Collected Company, gain some life. So we're not just dead yet, I guess. Opponent can Yorion here for no real value, but if they just want to run out a 4/5 blocker... Okay, another Revenge of Raven, sure. Go to combat, attack. Yeah. Opponent takes 2, we take 2. Play our Thalia. Overgrown Tomb tapped. Pass turn. Alright. I guess we're not... Bloodthirsty Aerialist. Wow, that's actually going to get huge because of the Revenge of Ravens. And the Yorion, sure. Not for any real value, just to get a blocker. Alright, we will go ahead and eat one of these foods. General's Enforcer. Yeah, I guess General's Enforcer start eating stuff out of the graveyard to make human tokens. No real reason to attack here, though, because it just pumps up their Bloodthirsty Aerialist. Yeah, we'll pass turn. No attacks. Yeah, we might not be able to beat this Bloodthirsty Aerialist on defense, I guess. We'll definitely need to draw a removal spell. Yeah, take 4, sure. Another Nyx Lotus. Alright, we will exile a General's Enforcer from our graveyard. Make a 1/1. Well, that's not really super helpful. Still can't really get in. I mean, Thalia is indestructible, but there's no reason to just run it into this Aerialist, so we will play Temple Garden tapped. Pass the turn. Yeah, pass turn. Yeah, these Revenge of Ravens are actually kind of wrecking us. Okay, God Eternal Ketra. That's going to be a little hard to beat. Yep, opponent gets in for a bunch. Sure. We will eat a... I guess a Llanowar Elves from our graveyard. Eat a food. Kudro. Alright, well Kudro does make things a little more interesting. We'll play the Kudro. Exile the Elspeth Conqueror's Death from our opponent's graveyard. Still can't... I mean, we can kill... Well, I guess we can kill the Aerialist with Kudro, right? So we'll... If we... Huh. So opponent has double strike is the tricky bit. We can't actually kill the God Eternal Ketra. I guess we just get in with Thalia to... Yeah, we'll get in with Thalia. Yep. Which just gives our opponent some life, but we get to blow up the Aerialist. And pass the turn. Sure, yeah, but it's indestructible. Pass turn. Okay, opponent gets the castle locked away, which gives him another card draw, sure. Yeah, we will Kudrow, kill the Bloodthirsty Aerialist, sack and sack. Sure, take 4. And we don't want to sack. We can make some more human tokens with General's Enforcer before we kill the Yorion. Okay, another Collected Company sucks. We will play... Yeah, we'll go ahead and, before they have a chance to respond, we'll kill this Bloodthirsty Aerialist, make a 1/1. And pass the turn. This 3/6 double striker is actually kind of wrecking us. Alright, Temple of Silence. Leave it on top. That's not great. Alright. Draw a card. Lose some life. Elspeth conquers death. Alright. Well, we're going to have to blow up the Yorion while we have the chance. So, blow up the Yorion. Sacrifice, I guess, the tokens. Because now we still have an indestructible human to block this God Eternal Catcher forever. Yep, sure. We'll block. And Dothatrium. Alright, so we will cycle that. Ugh, okay. Play the Temple Garden tapped. Yeah, okay. Do we want to get in for 4? Really, it's only 2. I guess so. We gotta start working away at their life somehow. Sure. I guess we actually got in for 0 here. I forgot they had 2 instead of just the 1. Alright, let's see what they got. Yeah, we shouldn't have attacked there. We just gave up a couple life for no reason. Haunt of Hightower, alright. Sure. Make a 4/4. Draw some. Knight of the Even Legion, sure. Alright, alright. We probably are dead now. Yeah, we make a human. Yeah, they wrecked us with these Grafdigger's cages because we weren't able to get out ahead. Let's see. We will cycle, see if there's anything we can do, but I don't think so. Benelish Marshal. Yeah, that doesn't do anything. Alright, so we'll scoop it up. Alright, go on to game 3. We'll definitely bring in our Knight of Autumns, and actually we're going to bring in the Dire Tactics too. They have a way more targets than we saw in game 1. Let me think. Is there any reason to bring in Containment Priest? Not really. We could also... Tecatli Honor Guard doesn't really do anything. I mean, it does stop like the Yorion, I guess, but it stops some of our stuff too, and I don't know if stopping their Yorion is 100% worth it. You know what, I guess we do go up the Tecatli Honor Guard. Go down, I don't think Black Lance Paragons are actually that good against them. They're not as much of the hard control deck as we saw originally. They are kind of creature-based. And even though this has Death Touch, it's more to dodge Wraths is where we get the most benefit out of it. And maybe actually go down a Collected Company so we're not as hosed by what our opponent's trying to do with the Grafdigger's cages. Maybe a couple Collected Companies, actually. Leave a couple of them in because they are our most powerful spell, but we can function without it. Go down, I guess, the Apostles and run it like that. Alright, we will play first, and, well, we can't keep a one-lander. Okay, well, we're pretty happy with this one. We'll keep this and go down... Jeez. What do we go down? I guess the Kudrow, as weird as it seems, because we want to go, like, General Enforcer into Knight of Autumn, probably. So, play this tapped. And Collected Company can hopefully find us another Lord. We got less copies of Knight of Autumn than we do of Kudrow, so... Alright, well, we will play the Thalia, even though it does make our Collected Company a little more expensive. It shuts down way more of our opponent's deck than it does of ours. Alright, and we actually get to just go General Enforcer, make the Thalia indestructible. And Overgrown Tomb tapped. Alright, so I'm feeling pretty good about where we're at. If they just play like an enchantment or something here, we can just blow it up with Night of Autumn. Alright, Yara, okay. Well, it's not an enchantment. Okay, play this tapped, and yeah, I guess we get them both. Hit our opponent for 2. Pass turn. Yeah, I drew a lot of lands. Nightmare Shepherd. Sure, that's something we can blow up with Night of Autumn though, because it is an enchantment creature. So we just go. We could collect a company here, but I think instead we're gonna go Night of Autumn. Destroy target enchantment. Opponent can sack it, sure. Draw a card. Go to combat. Attack with everything. Play Llanowar Elves. Pass turn. Hopefully our opponent doesn't top deck a Grafdigger's Cage here. We'll see. Okay, Nightmare Shepherd, fine. That's fine. We are just going to collect a company main phase here. Well, Benish Marshal is pretty good, but we're going to collect a company because if we draw a... any way to blink, well, okay. We're going to go Kudro plus General's Enforcer. Start exiling stuff out of our opponent's graveyard. Not really what we wanted to see, because now this Nightmare Shepherd gets to go off. Yeah, we can't really attack, so no attacks. We can blow up the Nightmare Shepherd next turn with Kudro, but this turn they're going to have free reign. So, we'll see. Kaya's Wrath. Well, we do get to keep our legendary creatures, so that's something. But our opponent gets to bring back their Yara as well. Freebooter's pretty good, so we'll go Freebooter, attack our opponent's hand, see if we can grab a Wrath. Mortify, Bolus of Citadel. Huh. Problem is they can just mortify. I think we want to take Bolus of Citadel, but they can just mortify our Freebooter if we do that. That does set them back a turn still. Yeah, we're going to take the Bolus of Citadel. Benish Marshal. Attack our opponent. And what do you got, opponent? You got to top deck something here. Oh my god. Well, Kaya's Wrath's gonna do it, I think. Night of Autumn doesn't quite help us here. We can Night of Autumn the Bolus of Citadel if they just like play that next turn, so that's something. Alright, well, I'm gonna play the Birth of Meletus. Probably not gonna Night of Autumn that. We aren't gonna scoop it up just yet because we haven't actually used both of our collected companies. A Yara, okay. Gilded Goose. Well, we will Gilded Goose, sure. Yeah, things are not looking great for us, though. Double Wrath. Hitting a Wrath off the top there was the perfect draw, and that's probably going to get us. God Eternal Ketra, sure. Gonna have to draw, like, an Exile spell for that. Take 2. Pastor. Kudro, okay. We will go Kudro. Exile some stuff out of our opponent's graveyard. And pass the turn. No attacks. Sure. We are just going to keep this Night of Autumn to blow up the Bolus of Citadel. Alright, opponent has Bolus of Citadel. Let's see how much they get off the top with it. Knight, sure, which is 4/4 as well. That might be enough to beat us. Alright, Dawn of Hope, sure. Yara. Yeah, that's going to double trigger. Yeah, I think this actually got us. Yeah, we're going to scoop it up. So, our opponent needed a Wrath off the top there to beat us, and they did hit it, but there's not much we could have done about that. And Bolus Citadel, they could have just whiffed with it as well, and they happened to just kind of chain a bunch together. So, we tried to take it out of their hand, but they had the Wrath. So, well, we did get to see the deck win on game 1, and on game 2, they were able to just kind of Wrath us out of the game, and that kind of happened here as well. We were in a position when we were about to win, and they needed a Wrath off the top, and, well, they happened to draw it, so not much you can do about that. But our opponent had a pretty cool deck, kind of a black-white Yorion deck with a bunch of triggers, Bolus Citadel, and such, and we kind of missed sideboarded in game 2 as well. They really got us with those Grafdigger's Cages. Bit of a lesson. We should have probably predicted when they had the Yorions that we wanted to go up the Night of Autumns, and we just decided because we didn't see anything in Game 1, we wouldn't, but it was probably a mistake. We probably should have brought in the Night of Autumns as soon as we saw that they were a Yorion deck, because that almost certainly means they have a bunch of enchantments that are going to be blinking. That's typically how Yorion decks work. But in any case, we were not able to pull it out against them. But we still won Game 1 and got pretty close in Game 3. So yep, this shows how sideboarding affects the games pretty well. But yeah, we just got a little bit wrecked by Wraths this game. But that's going to happen when you're playing like a creature-based aggro deck. If your opponent just happens to have multiple Wraths, that's pretty hard to come back from. We could survive one, but 2 or 3 Wraths in a row is going to beat most creature-based decks. But okay, alright, so the deck did pretty good. We did go up against, like, mono control somehow. We went up against Grixis control 3 times, we went up against mono blue flash, and we went up against a black-white Yorion control deck. And we still did pretty good, though, in general. We were pretty close with that Yorion game, and we won the other 4, so the deck felt pretty good in all, even against control, which is probably our worst matchup, I think, because they have Wraths, and Wraths against tribal decks, is always going to be pretty painful. We do have some ways to help us survive Wraths, like General's Enforcer making our legendary creatures indestructible means 1 Wrath usually isn't going to do it. They can, like, blow up all of our non-legendary creatures, but our legendary creatures survive it. That's not true for, like, Languish. Languish just gets us good, but in general, we were able to win even through decks that were just running like a million Wraths. The Yorion deck at the end did end up getting us. It just had enough Wraths in a row that it took us down, but in general, I mean, that was probably a collection of not really great matchups for us, and we were able to just do pretty well. So all in all, the deck felt really good. I really like this deck, and it's a deck that's going to get better as, more humans are printed, especially more legendary humans that we can slot in. And potentially, if we get like better mana fixing, if we get like Noble Hierarch or something, we could go for like a full-on like 4 or 5 color deck. Run some blue humans, because there are some pretty good blue humans. Cards like Meddling Mage, cards like Niambi would be pretty good in the deck. But I actually tried that deck out, and in my opinion, it has a lot of problems because we want to be able to cast these collected companies. If we weren't worried about these collected companies, we could go up some copies of like Ancient Ziggurats and play like a 4-color deck, maybe take these Dire Tactics out. But from messing around with that a little bit, it just feels worse to me than having collected company in our deck that we're able to consistently hit on turn 3 or turn 4. I just think this version's better, is what it basically boils down to. So if we do get like a Noble Hierarch, we might be able to go into 4-color and bring in those legendary blue humans, and I think that would be pretty good. The combination of Kite-So Freebooter to look at our opponent's hand and the Meddling Mage to shut off some cards from their hand is just a really good disruptive strategy, and eventually I think we might be able to get there with some better fixes. But right now I feel like Abzan is the way for humans to be. The deck feels pretty good, pretty well situated, and I've really enjoyed playing it. So this is not a budget deck. This is not something you can just go, just throw some rares at it and give it a shot. This is definitely something you want to be sure about before you buy into it, or you want to just already have a lot of these pieces, already have the Kudros laying around or the Benedict Marshalls. It's not something that's super easy to buy into, but if you already have the pieces, I would recommend giving it a shot. And I just had a blast with it the last few days. So yeah, anyway, thanks for watching. This has been 2D. I hope you enjoyed it, because I sure enjoyed playing, and I'll see you next time.